Morning, everybody. Stealing up my glasses there. And welcome to Sunday Q&A, which this week will come to you in two parts, because last week I decided to run a Sunday, and so I didn't have time to do Sunday Q&A. So it either means today's Sunday Q&A will be remarkably long, or I just split it in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bang one out this morning, obviously, and I'm going to bang one out tomorrow around about 5, 6-ish, because you shouldn't be watching Sunday Q&A in the mornings on a Monday. You should be out driving vans. Oh dear. Yeah, right. So to get straight into it. Shane Hardy says, "Is Pete getting to the end of his CX encyclopedia? Oh, and love the chunky jumper." The chunky jumper was knitted by my wife. I'm not wearing it right now because it's a heat wave, but it was, yeah, that's cool. I love the jumper. The CX encyclopedia is kind of, every time I come up with something new, the whole idea was the channel was designed to, well, it just started off as, it didn't have any idea, to be honest with you. And then it just developed into a channel designed to help people. But as I learn new things, we got a few ones coming up. We got one on running with pets in vans. People ask questions, one's come up. And also I'm going to have to update a few videos. I'm going to do another one on pricing structure. What I've done is I've rung around. It's really difficult to get people to say, what do you pay a mile? Which is bizarre when you go, I'm only asking you so that people know what to quote, so that they'll quote the money that you want to pay them. I presume that they're hoping that if they don't tell you, you'll be quoting a penny a mile or something like that, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I'm going to have to update my pricing structure one. Yeah, but on top of which, the plan is one video a week for the CX, haulage exchange, anything like that. One video a week is the life on the road, so you actually get to see what it's like, real life like, you know, and one is the questions. That's the way it's going to work out. Except for this week, it's going to be 4 videos because there's going to be 2 Q&As. Marvellous. Paul, oh yeah, and before we go on, shout out to Paul Wilkins. He says, an update on my test. I failed my first try test. However, I retook yesterday. I passed. I'm now a fully licensed HGV Class 1 driver and can drive Arctics. Way, well done, Paul. Now I'm on a hunt for Class 1 job. If you're new to it, a lot of firms are going to be weary because they it's one of those situations. They want you with 2 years insurance, 2 years no claims because it affects their insurance. But I think a lot of the big firms like Stobbards and stuff like that will take new drivers and will train them. I don't know if they're going to give you the same money, but it's entry into it. As I understand it, I'm not Class 1, I'm Class 2. Like I say, I'm long gone from vans now, and I drive a Class 2 lorry, so the kind of big boys are above my league as well. But I'm sure if anyone has got any advice, Paul, I'm sure it will come in the comments. So, catching up on the videos. Last week we did one, when it says job pays. This is interesting. We had job pays, and it comes up. And there was a few of them this week. There was one on, I was debating on Friday. My mega week went sideways, but we'll do that at the beginning of the next video. And there was one on Friday, and it said it was going from Waltham Cross in a truck to somewhere like Milton Keynes. It was like, I don't know, 90 odd miles, and it was like a 12 ton as well. And I'm thinking I could finish this one, go and pick that one up, go up to Milton Keynes, but I've got a lot of stuff to catch on because I missed out on my Sunday. It said job pays 180 quid. I thought, thanks very much for letting me know. I won't even bother quoting for that money. I've got other stuff in my life that I've got to do. So Tall Man Small Van said, I saw an interesting one recently, Wolverhampton to Edinburgh. Being a driver's mate sitting in a van as the customer of the shipper had requested the goods be accompanied at all time if the driver had a brake, no handball. It was a 1,200 kilo pallet, job pays 400 quid. I nearly bid on it, except I didn't know whether or not you'd have to make your own way back from there on public transport. That's kind of reasonable, isn't it, really? I imagine you'd ring the shipper, and then the shipper might go and ask the driver. The driver might be coming back. The driver might be in Edinburgh. Yeah, it's a weird one. I kind of like the weird ones. But yeah, I imagine doing in that case, ring the shipper, say, yeah, I can do it. I can do it for this money. Am I getting home? Steve at SDC Services said, I got to a job the other week, pays £100 to get me home, great. Got to the pickup, old bloke comes out ranting at me, calling me a robbing git. As I remain professional and go about my business, the fork truck driver, the old bloke is still on one. I said, look mate, I said, it's nothing to do with me. I just deliver the goods. As I went to the desk to collect the paperwork, he said, look at this. The email and the PC, they charged £300. Nothing to do with me. I just did the job, although it left a bitter taste. Seen it before. I know we have to try to make a living, but it seems the drivers tend to always take a hit. Nothing you can do but crack on. You're right, mate. There is nothing you can do but crack on. If you turn around and say, I'm only getting 100 quid of it, what you're going to do is you're going to drop the shipper right in it, and the shipper might get the hump. And you don't know. We had a situation before when I'm doing the pallet weights, where I had to paint the side of a lorry, and but my mate, I told you I picked up the wrong pallets, had to take them to Leeds, then bring them all the way back again and pick up the right pallets and take them all the way up. Now my mate had to cover that because he said the guy in there, although you went in and gave the right references, he's just going to kick up and go, no, because you sent that lorry in, I'm not paying the return. He said, but don't worry. He said, what I do is I just make it up on future jobs. So what he would do is in the future he'd put 20 quid on here, 50 quid on here, that kind of thing, and get his money back. It could be a situation like that. Or it just could be they're making a load of money. Again, nothing wrong with that. Business is business. But yeah, it is kind of frustrating, I suppose. But then again, people, in my experience, people are going to pay. They're not going to pay more than they have to. If they can get a van for 100 quid and it's good and it's reliable, they're going to take it. Even if they've got £1,000 on their job, they're going to take it. So they won on that one, Steve. Swings and roundabouts, mate. Tony Mason, he says, as you say, Pete, a double-edged sword. The job pays. It can be good money on the job as they want to get it off, or no money, and that's what they want to pay. That's what they want to pay. Is feedback important? Feedback is important. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it is important. I don't think shippers look at it. If the price is right, you'll get the job. Don't check the shipper's feedback and never had a problem. He said, I don't check the shipper's feedback and never had a problem. Well, I know I never really, in fairness, because, as I said, I don't know if this video's even come out yet. But the problem is, by the time you see the job and by the time you've gone, oh, wow, let's just see they pay that with the terms and conditions. Let's see how quick they pay. Let's just see their feedback. Yeah, I'm going to bid on them. They say, right, oh, it's sold. What I would tend to do is put the bid in and then have a look and go, just go and check to see what their feedback is, or just not. I'd be like, not check the feedback. From a shipper's point of view, I think they're more likely to check the feedback if you put in a silly quote. Okay, let's put a silly quote in there. Let's just see what his feedback is. Oh, actually, he's 100%. I'm going to give him a ring and find out why he's put a silly quote in. Maybe he's going home, so we'll see. TC Services says there's a shipper who regularly posts how much the job is. In fact, there is one on there at the moment. It's been on since this afternoon. It's had no takers. It's for £25. I'm tempted to put my nominal price in and see if they accept it. You've got nothing to lose. And for 25 quid, I'm not being funny, but I'm trying to work out prices now. And it strikes me, you're only going to get it for 25 quid. If it's a small van job and the small van happens to be sitting outside the collection point and it happens to be dropping off 3 miles away, which is not far from his house, because 25 quid ain't going to buy you an awful lot anymore. I like some feedback. I think minimum on a job should be probably 30 at least on that small. That has got to be the craziest small van job in the world, going up to about 70 on a Luton. For just a minimum price on a job. But I'm trying to work out prices per mile. But a bit of feedback, I'll tell you what, you guys, if you're a shipper, please tell me, what do you pay? Short wheelbase. Actually, why not? If you're a shipper and you're prepared to, just give me a rough idea. You don't even have to put your name. You can go as anonymous or something like that. I don't know how you do that, but you might be able to do that. Just how much you would pay for small van, short wheelbase, medium wheelbase, long wheelbase, extra long, Luton Curtain. And I'm going to try and do an up-to-date video so people know what they should be paying. And don't get me wrong, if you say, well, for a Luton, what I normally do is I normally want 10p a mile, I'm just going to ignore it. And if you say you pay £10 a mile, I'm just going to ignore it. So I know that there is a bandwidth here, but I would try and narrow it down so people know. It just takes the stress out of it, Right, and also TD Services goes say, anyone know how much it costs a shipper to join the CX? Is it free or do they have to pay a subscription just like as couriers? Have a guess. You pay. Any way you do it. But you're going to pay, aren't you? Because it's a service. It's not like, you're getting to put jobs on, which you can then sell on. You can get from your customer and then subcontract out to make a profit. they're going to want some of that. That's fine. That's normal, I would say. Andy Darwin says, why take a job in the first place if it doesn't pay, and who in their right mind is going to take pallets from London to Glasgow for 100 quid? That's just an example I pulled out of the air, Andy. I don't know if that's a real thing, but you're right. Don't you quote what you are prepared to do the job for. And if it says, and coming back to Tony, I'd have put the price in. If it says job pays £25, I'll say, yeah, I'll do it for 50. And occasionally they go, did you read the notes? And I go, yeah. But I ain't doing it for £25. And then if they've got an empty computer screen, or if all they've got is bids of 50 and up, they've got two choices: take the 50 or don't move the stuff and let the customer down. So yeah, I'd always put a bid in. Paul Harrison says, "This is what destroys this job. Customers should always what the job is worth plus profit." Not quite sure what that means, Paul, but thanks for the comment anyway. Matt Hodges said, I think if a shipper puts a load as a backload, they should give us a clue what they want to pay. It has been said that a hot shot from Southall to Leicester in an extra long wheelbase, 113 miles, with the comments, we can offer the price of £50, we pay cash on collection, which is 44p per mile. Yeah, well, in that case, you can offer it, but somebody would be a fool to take it, unless, of course, they happen to have just tipped in Southall and live in Leicester. And even then, I'd say, no, I'd rather drive home empty. What about if I get there and I'm hanging around for an hour? What if I get to the other side and the place is shut and I'm stuck with the goods on board and it lets me down for my job for the morning? I go for that kind of money. I also think to me, it's more important that when it says backload, it shouldn't say needs to be collected in the next hour and needs to get there as soon as possible. If it's backload, it should say can be collected anytime, Monday to Friday, and as long as it gets there by Saturday morning, that's okay. That's a backload. That's not a hot job. Van on the run. How you doing, mate? How we doing? He said, I'm a bit late replying to this one. Well, I'm a bit late filming the video, so you're in business. Hopefully I'm not missed the cut-off point. He said, I've noticed there are two scenarios where shippers tend to post more job pays loads. When the CX is quiet and some unscrupulous shippers are trying to get their jobs done very cheap as they know the market is in their favour, although to be fair, they may be getting less work and need to maximise their profits per job to remain profitable overall. That's it. You don't know the other side. Don't kick them. If they say they want to pay for nothing, just go, fine. I mean, I'm not doing it. That's the way forward. When the CX is very busy like it was last August and shippers were struggling to get jobs covered, so it says job pays is actually very good. That's a good point. If they know there's like 200 jobs on there and they know there's a limited amount of vans, they might go, I'm going to stick a nice big quote on that. And there's your juicy bone, guys. First come, first served. Get that van, narrow it down, make sure it's there. This is when the sun is shining and it's time to make hay. I've said on my own channel, he has got a channel. I plugged it before. We'll do you a link, mate. A link to Van on a Run. Check him out. I think he's on his way to 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. When you get to 1,000 subscribers, Google will give you money for adverts. That ain't loads, but it helps keep the lights on. People need to realise that all the work on the CX is subcontracting work and therefore it is at a backload rate, which is when they put a backload on it. That's a backload on a backload. That's discount on discount. It winds me up when most shippers post jobs looking for dedicated direct service, but they say it needs a backload rate. Yeah, I just agree with you there. They asking for a backload on back. Yeah, and people go for this work. I know just an example. Put the 4 pallets to Scotland you mentioned would be at least £180 on the pallet network. I don't understand why shippers take jobs from their clients at such rates. If they do, once it's their customers, if they do it once, their customers will keep trying this approach. I don't know if it is the customers or they're trying to maximise profits, or sometimes you get customers that are mean. Who knows? The bottom line is this. When it says job pays, it means nothing. You do it for what you are prepared to do it for and put a bid in. If it says job pays £30, that's why I won't go do it for 30, but I do it for 60, I'll let them know. Sometimes it just gets rejected straight away. Go, fine, okay. Then it reappears again. You go, all right, I'll put that £60 back in again. Actually, this time I put 70. I'll show them. You do you. End of the day, you do you. Right, we got lots to go through as usual. Fiberglass my wagon. I decided to Mickey Mouse a step on the truck. Well, I didn't decide to Mickey Mouse a step on the truck. I didn't realise what I should have done. I've now come to the conclusion when you need something done mechanically, before you decide to dive straight in and do it yourself, ask the mechanic. What do I do here, Mark? He's up there at the moment. He got MOT. I've got MOT on Monday. He's got to do a fuel sensor and stuff like that. But otherwise, he's got 5 new tyres. Fortunately, my mate Ian, if he's watching. Ian, thank you. Done me a deal on 4, what do they call him, pre-loved? Nearly new tyres. Great big. He's a lovely guy. I get on really well with him. He's a really nice guy. Anyway, got to finish this so I can go up there and do the PODs, which is I'm still wittering then, Peter. Get on with it. Fiberglass my wagon. Tony, yes, this did make me smile. Good as new. No, it wasn't, Tony. It would have been okay by the time I finished the fiberglassing. If I'd done a bit of sanding, maybe sprayed it up a bit, it would have been okay. Reading's greengrocer says, do love your enthusiasm, Pete. Once a market trader, always a market trader. He said, you remind me of my granddad and his make do amend attitude. Yeah, you could call it that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you get a whole new step panel from buy some parts for 40 quid and just bolt it on. Just got a whole corner bumper up for a Scania for £38 and bolted it on right away. Reading greengrocers, that's exactly what I did in the end. I spent an hour or 2 hours fiberglass in it, and then Giuseppe came around and went, why don't you just get a new step? And then Mark turned around and went, why don't you just get a new step? That's exactly what I did. I got a new step. A week later, Mark went, it's done. Oh, God, what did I do? Oh, you make work for yourself sometimes, don't you? David JM said, don't give up the day job. Start building Airfix models when you're waiting to offload. I'm the kid that used to make the Airfix models that when the plane was finished, it had more glue on it. It's just like a ball of glue. I'm sure there's a Spitfire under there somewhere. Shane Hardy, he said, Pete, you should have worn gloves and a mask, mate, when standing in case, as he said, in case you don't, as I'm putting this on 11 minutes in. And Paul Evans said, should have wear a mask, mate. Fiberglass in was, it was good to meet you at Cemetery Park the other day. It was good to meet you too, Paul. Symmetry Park, rather. Yeah, I know you're supposed to wear a mask and stuff like that. I used to nitromoss my banister once, where you take the paint off when I was a young lad. And I wore the regulation outfit, because it's really hot, of vest, baggy shorts and flip-flops, even to the stage that once on my film, I thought, oh, I've got an itchy eye. I went like that. It started to burn. I thought, well, that's not a good idea. Straight up to the sink, splash a bit of water on it. It's fine. I think if you do this stuff all the time, it's important to keep the PPE in. But can you imagine wearing that gear? I remember once also rocking up to a railway network, and it was like the heat that is at the moment, 30 odd degrees, and they had to wear full, long sleeve high vis, long sleeve trousers, boots, hat, glasses, the whole lot. And I said, what's going on? He went, nothing. He said, we can't do anything. It's 30 odd degrees. He said, all I can pretty much manage in a day is to move 4 slabs. I'll move a slab. I sit down and have a rest for an hour. It's so hot. I'm like, and I can understand that. It's horrible. You can work in it, but it's horrible. Why would you choose to live your life like that? Steve Campbell says, "Oh, fiberglass, the cost-effective way to weld a Ford Transit chassis." Yeah, don't do that, Steve. That's not good, is it? Really, that's going to be dangerous. And C11 Yan Ian says the fiberglass matting goes on the back when you repair it, where you can't see it, as you put the bridger, the fiberglass filler, on the front. It was difficult to get to the back, and I'm shoddy. As it is, it's now got a new step, which will come up on a video, which I believe, if I get it edited in time, this Friday. Pimp My Ride. I'm still painting it. I've got some chrome paint. Oh, it looks fantastic. You're going, oh, it looks lovely. I thought it'd be a disaster, but actually, no, I think it's all right. Stay tuned. Steve at SDC Services said, the poor trucks have more paint than the Humber Bridge. You should change your name to Morph. Yeah, you can't beat a better Tony Hart, can you? I'm doing, what's it called? Take Art. I'm with me lorry. Fantastic. TC Services. Having used loads of 2-pack products in my previous job, when you mix the 2 parts together, I was expecting it to go off in the glass by the time I started using it. You have to be pretty quick, but it ain't that quick. You did mention that the curtains are all done. Any picks in part 2? I had my worst week on the CX so far with hardly any work at all. Still on the bright side, it's not raining. Well, it certainly ain't raining. Sorry to hear about the week. I haven't finished painting the curtains yet. That will be the last thing to do, which is I've done the step, the bumper, the curtains once, the sidebars, chromed the wheels. Stay tuned for Friday. Curtains next. Got to buy the paint. Paint ain't cheap. And I've got the kid's birthday. I've got to see my friend who has loaned me the money for the trunk. He's due a payment. And I've also got MOT. It's an expensive part of the month, this. Once that's all done, more paint. W388Y1. Joy's name. He said, what a waste of time. But priceless entertainment. Whatever does it look like going up the road this time next year, Rodney? Yeah, we've had that one coming up as well with Steve. Coming to that, guys, today or tomorrow. Godzilla's finally. This made me smile as well. John McClane, tired of taking on the bad guys on isopod towers, tackles fiberglass in front end and back of an unsuspecting death in Lashard, the Riptide Saga. Yeah, not isopod towers, obviously, it's Wakatomi Towers, and yes, it is a Christmas film, but I see what you've done there, and it did make me smile. He said, a classic of optimism seeking to overcome a crushing lack of ability. The man hits a nail on the edge, you've got to give him that. He said, brilliant. He said, I love the way you started out by not troubling yourself with taking it off, but instead thinking, I'll get the drill out, check it to see what's behind your drilling. No, that's me. Yeah, I am the guy that tackles the job and then has to pay the guy double because first of all he's got to put right what I put wrong before he can actually do the job that I was trying to do. But live and learn. Right, this one says I missed. Oh, this is because I did the video because I missed the Sunday Q&A because I was on my way up to Liverpool with the Planets, which has been taped, I think. Yes, it has been taped, and that will be coming out after Pimp My Ride. It's going to take ages to edit that one. That's probably a two-part because there's so much footage. It's shocking. Motti says, 8 tonne of drain cleaner, is that dangerous goods? Are you and your truck ADR compliant? He also says, some drain cleaners like One Shot are highly corrosive. It wasn't drain cleaner. It was, well, some of it said drain cleaner. Some of it said like moss. I think it's more like them spray things. You know, like when you spray your bath or you spray the water to try and get moss in. But it does make you wonder. You never know what you're carrying. I had a guy the other day, again, Friday, he rang me up. I had a potential job, Slough to Milton Keynes, Stipping in Hatfield, and he said, it came up as an international number, which foxed me. And then he said, are you okay with light ADR? I went, what do you mean light ADR? And he kind of, he kind of a bit vague. He says, well, it's a little bit ADR. I thought, I don't know what that means. I said, mate, I haven't got any ADR. And he went, okay, no problem, we'll let it go, thanks for trying. He was a nice enough guy, but what's light ADR? It's when you get stopped by the DVSA, you're either ADR or you're not. And it's either, you've got a vat of acid on it, mate. You can't just drive around with that without training. I sometimes wonder when you carry the batteries. You've got packs of lithium batteries and stuff like that. That's ADR, I believe. I don't know whose responsibility it is. Presumably, it's the shipper's responsibility to tell you if it's ADR. What happens, though, if one for the wise guys, what happens if you get caught with a load that turns out to be ADR and you didn't know? Presumably, you tell the truth and see what happens. I guess it's your responsibility to check out a load before it goes on board. But that's not always that easy when they start loading you with, sort of black shrink wrap pallets. What is it, mate? I don't know. Okay, I'll just drive it then, shall I? No problem. London Creative, how you doing, Nick? He said, Eddie, it's because I've obviously passed an Eddie Stobbart lorry. He said, someone has to shout out Eddie Stobbart's lorry overtaking you. Yeah, if I did that every time, I'd be horse. Well, there's a lot of Eddie Stobbarts on the road, but... And happy birthday for yesterday, mate. No, 3 days ago now. And Ian Merrick, who says, that's a pretty big jobby to Liverpool if it needs 18.5 tonnes to shift it. Take care, take money, shift jobby. Yeah, the truck will carry 10 tonne. But again, I was talking to my mate Ian, the guy gave me the tyres, and I said, how much do you carry? He said, we normally drag about 8 tonne. I said, I thought these things can carry like 22 tonne, because he's like class 1 Arctic. He went, yeah, but why would you want to? And I thought, yeah, that's a fair point. It's no fun when you've got all that weight on board. It's much better when it's a 7.5 tonne job. You go, oh, lovely, fly up the hill, no problem. Right, we're going to do this one, and then I think I might have to stop because we're running out of time here. This one is on points. Now, I did one on. I suggested this thing's coming up on points. Now, when I talked about points, I was talking about the pointless points. The ones you get for Amazon Flex. Oh, well done, you've delivered a load of parcels. You are now a Amazon Flex master genius. Pay me more money? No, but you're a master genius because you've got loads of points because you've driven. I don't care, pay me more money. Godzilla said, but it has turned into points on like speed courses, and a few people who have done one on speed courses have commented, which is nice. So this is real about speed courses and other stuff as well. Godzilla said, he said, points one Friday. He said, I got done doing 50 and a 30, which was a 40 zone. How do you plead? A bit guilty. I wasn't doing 50 and a 30, that's for sure. Got done anyway. After consultation with the JP, I knew the next day, he said, I got done for 70 and a 40, which is a licence loser, yeah, it is. Pulled over and the cop says, congratulations, fastest one this day. I thought this is never going to be a good outcome. But, and it said, never going to be a good outcome. I said I wasn't so fast and I had a legitimate reason for doing the speed. I did also. He said the cop pointed out that it wasn't a 60 as I thought it was a 40. I said I told him I'd always run it at 60. I thought the speed limit had this. He said I've been doing it for the last 6 months. He let me off with exceeding 40 for my honesty, 6 points in a weekend. They went very nicely with my 3 I already had for reversing on a motorway. Now that's a distasteful and unhappy story, I could tell. Please do. I'm intrigued. Reversing on a motorway. I imagine you just missed the junction and thought, well, it's only 100 yards, I'll be fine. I've just put up here and as you started to reverse, the police car came down. But who knows, reversing on the motorway, probably not wise. Ishak Tolgay says, he said, helpful video, Pete. He said, I also have 3 points for speeding and it's expiring this October. I also had 6 points not giving details to the police, an MS-90 which expired and will be removed in December. So at the moment I have 3 points valid and 6 points expired. Never took the speed awareness course, got flashed with a 40 and a 30 zone. Will I be offered the course or will they issue me 3 points? Oh God, if they gave me 3 points, I lost my job. Advice, please. Right, I did reply on a message, so I thought it was important. Firstly, you've only got 3 points because the 6 points, what happens is, I believe, and I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, they stay on your licence for 3 years, but for the point of insurance, they're active for the point of 5 years. So for the point of insurance, those points, you've got 9 points. From the point of the police, which is the one you really care about, because that's the one that keeps your licence, you've got 3 points. Secondly, you've never taken a course, which means if you take the course, you won't get any points. You'll just get the course. You'll lose the ability to take the course again for 3 years, but you won't get any points, so take the course. Thirdly, even if you had 3 points valid and the 6 points did still count, and you couldn't take the course for some reason, and that would put you on 12 points, which is a licence loser, you can plead unnecessary hardship, which means you presumably have to go to court. I think you go to court for that one. And you go, if you take my licence away, it's not just the means I'm going to have to get the train to work. It means I will lose my job because I drive for a living, which means I lose my van, and as a result of which I'm going to not be able to pay my mortgage. And then so you can, and what will happen then is they will give you the 12 points and they'll give you a whopping great fine. And they'll go, right, you are going to have to drive incredibly carefully for the next however many years until these points come off. So I wouldn't panic, mate. I think you're going to be fine. I think what's probably going to happen is you'll just get offered the course. Take the course. It's worth doing. You know, at least it's 8 to 3 points. Drive safe. Barry David Galdry says, thank you, Pete. He said, you said it all for me. I went through a speed trap at 24 in a 20 mile per hour zone downhill from Crystal Palace to Sydenham. I know that road. That's the windy hill that goes. It's quick. I'm doing my online course tomorrow, and like you, I'm not a bad bloke. Thank you very much, Barry. I'm not quite sure when you judge a character there, but I'll take it as a compliment. Cheers. He said, I do try, but anyone can have a momentary lapse concentration. Yeah, you're right. I've done it. I had the same concerns about logging on as you, but because you have to log on to the Zoom course. Go, please work. I'll get up like 2 hours early to make sure it works. It does. But he said help with that. That's good. I'll try to learn from the course. You can. The stuff about the bubble, the stuff about sort of leaving bigger gaps. It all makes perfect sense. So, how many we got left out? Well done. Yeah, I think, guys. Yeah, we're going to call it a day there. I've got to go and do some stuff anyway. I've got to meet Harry. We're on we're now on apps. We don't do the paperwork anymore. We now do the walk around check on the phone. Got a thing called ClearSafe. It's working good. I've got stuff on the computer, getting the hang of it. I've got to show him how that works. See and check the thing out, do the PODs. life on the road. But yeah, that's it. So this is it for Sunday Q&A for today. Part 2 will come out tomorrow, say 5 o'clock. And in the meantime, have a barbecue. Enjoy the sunshine. And then on Monday, take care, take money.